Emma is it's a prayer tablet. It's a kind of like it's a wish tablet, I guess is a better way to describe it. From the Japanese Shinto tradition, people tend to write on them their hopes or aspirations for the new year. It's rather like a New Year's resolution we have in the West. I lived in Japan for 14 years, and I'm interested in the kind of the use of artifacts, how you can take an artifact from one culture, you can transpose it to another culture, and maybe it has the same meaning, maybe it has similar meaning, maybe it has different meaning. And I'm just really kind of interested in playing around with that idea. Also, Shinto is a kind of a-religious tradition, as in it's non-sectarian, and so it's kind of perfect for Belfast. And I was just interested to see where, what it would work like in Belfast, given the history, of Belfast. When people look at a community, often they have this kind of very monolithical idea of the community, but actually if you dig around you find that oftentimes communities don't really exist. What happens is you have a given area, and within the area you have communities plural. And what I was interested in doing is using this artifact as a means of engaging the different groups within the community. One of the big issues I have with arts-based research, or interventions as people call them, is that they kind of masquerade as being democratic, or they masquerade as being something grassroots nature born from the community, when in actuality they're very didactic, they're very top-down, they're kind of quite despotic there, where somebody has a tranche of funding, identifies a deprived community, pilots that money in with artists from outside who aren't of the community. And essentially I have a lot of issues from an ethical perspective with that. What I tried to do with Project Emma was really to go against that, and I took the project and I pitched it all over Belfast, from east to west, north to south, no partiality, I pitched it everywhere. And in the end it just happened that South Belfast Alternatives, who are based in the Donegal Pass, they picked it up, and the overseers of that project liked it. But rather than just saying, okay, we're going to run with it, what they actually did was then bring in their cohort of youths, and then I had to repitch it to them. And if they didn't want to buy it, if they didn't like the project, then it would have been scrapped, or I would have taken it elsewhere. But actually they liked it and they decided to run with it. So for me, that was really the starting point, that I had to have buy-in from some kind of community organisation. And really from that, it just kind of snowballed. What happened is I would do workshops which were open to anyone to attend. And half the time people didn't attend, which is great. It's kind of an exercise of democracy. People choose not to attend. But little by little people did attend, and then things like the actual Emma themselves were made locally. The frame was made by a local joiner, the panels and everything that we used were all made locally.
So it's now 3 weeks since the frame, the Emma were put up. It's more than that, since the frame has been on the wall. And it's interesting again, there has been some kind of dialogue with the Emma. A number of them, I've just moved some of them around. I took photographs, but I moved some of them around. But you can see that there is a number of them like these that have 3 on them, where there weren't 3 on them before. So it's interesting that people have engaged with them and moved them around to some degree, which is kind of interesting. I mean, it was always one of the hopes about this artwork, that it would allow for that.
I think there are many things that make it different. The focus on ethics, I think, makes a difference. The focus on genuine grassroots community makes it different. If you look at the kind of the popular street art in Belfast, it's murals. And I always have issues with murals, because you have a given community which has one gable wall end and it has a mural on it. The mural then is supposed to represent the entire community. Obviously, given a kind of multiplicitous community, one single image actually physically, spiritually, ontologically cannot represent the given community. What Project Emma does is to address that by giving everyone a prayer tablet, one of these little tablets, that people then paint onto that, their hope and their wish, their aspirations. So what you do is you give everyone equal opportunity to have equal voice in the installation that results from that. So everyone gets one of these prayer tablets, they paint onto that their hopes, their aspirations, and they all get hung together. So what you get from a distance, it looks like an artwork, it looks like a kind of a Dali vision, kind of like this kind of composite artwork. But actually when you get close to it, you realise that it's not one artwork, it's actually artworks plural. There's many different Emma on the wall, which in some way go to represent the community. Of course, you never can represent the community, because the moment you introduce democracy, you introduce freedom of choice, and people say, no, I don't want to participate. So you're never going to get everyone to do it. But if you open it up to people and you invite them to participate, if they choose to participate, then all you can say is that, well, at that given point in time, these are the voices of the people who chose to participate. I think that's quite unique. I haven't seen any artwork that encompasses that kind of multiplicitous nature of society. I think it was. In the end, we got 167 people, so 167 different people painted the Emma. There are only about 650 households in the Pass area. That's not a bad ratio. From that, we had Chinese groups, we had migrant groups, we had women's groups, church groups. There were lots of different groups who joined together to participate in the project. So I think overall it was a great success. Yes. One of the keys of the project is sustainability, but there's a problem with sustainability in the real world. In academic terms, sustainability is a nice word, but in reality, what that means is that you then need some body or some organisation to oversee the project. The trouble is that the community workers work very hard in the community, and you then have to be careful not to overburden them. You don't want them to leave them with the responsibility of shouldering the project when they've got their own work to do. This is a problem I have at the moment in deciding how to take it forwards. It might be that the project continues but in a slightly different format. It might be that the frame comes off the wall and is located at a nearby arts centre, so that the citizens still have access to it, they still have free and kind of unfettered access to it. But it might mean that if it's under the shelter and umbrella of an arts organisation, they will then have facilitators who can then take on the kind of facilitation, which means that the community will still be able to participate in it, but won't be burdened by maintaining it. Sustainability obviously is key to it, but it's a very difficult term to really engage with, because what you don't want to do is then become didactic again, become kind of imperialistic again, and say, well, you've got to maintain the project because you said you would, or we must keep this project going. You really don't want to do that. What you want to do is make the project genuinely sustainable and that's really the challenge that we're facing at the moment. So I'm hoping that it'll fit with the local arts centre and they can continue to maintain it. Aside from that, I'd like to see the project run in many, many different communities. At the moment, I'm looking at doing a project with the University of Barcelona where we can run a project there. And also, I would be interested in taking it back to Brazil, to South America, because using Freire's critical pedagogy, it would be interesting to see whether the research would translate back into Brazil. And so that's another avenue I'm exploring at the moment.